all right. Here we are from the beautiful Sunshine State, Florida. It's kind of cloudy out right now, but that's okay. It's another beautiful Thursday with our friend and mentor, James Auffant. How are you, Jimmy?
It's a beautiful day. I really want to thank the White House for producing so much news and for doing everything they can to
Yeah.
avoid discussing the Epstein files, which we understand that. But by firing Pam Bondi, I don't think President Trump realized that the commentators are saying that part of the problem, the reason she was fired, was the way she handled the Epstein files, the way
Mhm.
that she made them an issue, which she did. I'm not going to say she did because that's true. She did, and that infuriated the president to the point that he thought and expected that his attorney general would never release the things about the 13-year-old girl or his friendship with with Epstein, and put him in first number of pictures of people with Epstein. Second, Bill Clinton by his margin of victory is very little, but he has more pictures than Bill Clinton and more emails and everything else. He thought she would remove everything about him and release everything else. Well, she released everything. She followed the law, which said release everything. We keep forgetting that her refusal to do her job caused that the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, did pass a law almost unanimously ordering the release of these files. If she had done her job and released them, probably by now we would be talking about something else and probably wouldn't even be in Iraq. But she got fired. He has been complaining about her. If you see some of the true socials that he has posted in the last 2 or 3 months, everybody thought it was coming. The question now that she's no longer Attorney General, does that allow other agencies to investigate some of her hanky panky stuff that she did while she was Attorney General? That's
Very
a,
good point, Jimmy.
she's open because it's been said she's going to private practice, she's going to be a private citizen. And what's going to be even more interesting, I don't see a way to confirm Mr. Trump's past attorney as Attorney General. He doesn't have the qualifications. He doesn't, period, doesn't have. He's a lawyer, he's a litigator, he's done a lot of things, but he's not at that level. So it's going to be interesting. But Pam, adios, adios, because, and this is the interesting thing, the only position that Donald Trump consistently
Hmm.
fires is Attorney General.
Yeah.
He fired his first one, he fired his second one,
Yeah.
he didn't fire the third one because he lost the election. So if not, he probably would have fired him too. But now he had one that lasted 15 months, a little less than the first one. But he's never fired any other secretary position with such consistency as the Attorney General because, in his mind, the Attorney General should be prosecuting his enemies. The people who did him wrong, they should be putting him in jail for doing wrong to him. And basically, since she has not been able to do it because there's no legal precedent to do it, and the time that she's tried, she's fucked up, including one that they did, and and the grand jury said this is bullshit and
Right.
rejected it. That is, I think, where he is also very angry that none of these people who did him wrong have really been prosecuted because even John Bolton, his case is going nowhere. Right.
Correct.
So it's a matter of he he wanted her to put all these people in jail, and legally she couldn't do it, so she's out. He has his new attorney to see if he could do it, but I don't see that happening. But hey, you never know.
Also, Jimmy, allegedly, there was a heated conversation in the halls of the White House a couple of weeks ago, and it may have been related to, the DOJ investigations into Trump's adversaries. It could also be the Epstein files. Also, I read on X. that may have, because of a close relationship with Representative Eric Stallwell from California, may have uh, tipped him in regards to the DOJ releasing um, sensitive records in regards to his alleged um, intimate relationship with a Chinese asset. So that was something that came up on my feed earlier today.
Well, there's also the feed that's out there that the reason she was fired is because there was has been an investigation to some of the corruption that has been done, research by the Department of Justice on President Trump, and she was ordered into a grand jury, and she just had to, under oath, say the truth. So there is certain other factors here. But look, I'm going to say this: there was nobody in this administration more loyal to Donald Trump than Pam Bondi. She even put up a legal sign in front of the Department of Justice, say with his picture, saying he was the best president of all time. No other agency of the federal government has done that. None. Let's call it as it is. None. Basically, he could say the most craziest things, and she would agree with him. He would say things that were illegal, and she would agree with him. So loyalty is not a reason why she would get fired. Okay, because she was extremely loyal to him, to the point that she still, to this day, denies that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, that it was stolen. So so it is a matter of other things, but this is the third attorney general that he fires.
Mhm.
Third, he's only fired Homeland Security's once, and so it's going to be an interesting thing. Who is he going to appoint to be attorney general? Because I think that one's going to have a problem. But we will see.
Right. I believe I'm looking it up now. The under attorney or assistant attorney general um, to Pam Bondi is um, the gentleman that's tapped to be her replacement is one of the president's personal attorneys in the past.
And
And
somebody
so,
that the president appointed as deputy attorney general himself
mhm, right.
and put him in number two as a spy to Pam Bondi. And some say, I have no evidence of this, that he was the one who was saying she's not doing a good job. You have to take her out. That's some of the reported issues.
I think one of the political CNN just reported that it's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche who is replacing Bondi for the time being.
As an acting, I don't think he has the votes in the Senate, but
Hmm.
he's going to be the acting. And as a matter of fact, for the last week, I understand that Donald Trump has been calling people and talking about replacing her. So it shouldn't take anybody by surprise. But yeah, the most loyal member of the cabinet got fired.
Wow, that's kind of messed up.
And
Uh,
let's me jump into another subject using Pam Bondi. Yesterday, in the Beast, going to the U.S. Supreme Court, first time a president's ever done this,
right.
what was driven down. Uh, it's not a long distance, but he drove down with Pam Bondi. He walked into the Supreme Court with Pam Bondi. He was right next to her. He was talking to her during the arguments
Okay,
with Pam Bondi. And the next day, you're out of here.
man.
Well, maybe that was his April Fool. So let's you know, I'm fooling you to believe that you have a job. Uh,
Wow.
so that happened. So let me then get into the birthright arguments.
Okay. Yes.
Let me make a caveat here to start off with. Not every attorney in the United States is a member of the United States Supreme Court. To be a member of the United States Supreme Court and be able to argue a case in front of the United States Supreme Court, there's some requirements. First, you have to become a member, and to become a member, you have to be recommended by two members of the United States Supreme Court and evaluated by the United States Supreme Court and accepted as a member of the United States Supreme Court as an attorney. If you would want to argue a case, you would have to avail yourself of somebody who's at least argued two cases, so you could sit with that person, so you can learn how to argue a case. That is no question that some of the people that were there yesterday were there because of one exception that says that U.S. solicitors automatically, that are appointed by the president, are allowed to present and argue a case. And that is their job, and it is clear. Now, for those of you who do not know this, I am a member of the United States Supreme Court, and I've never argued a case, but I've always been a servant of what I call the U.S. Constitution. Yesterday, it was interesting, two things. The U.S. Supreme Court in its history has never recognized a member of the public. You could be the defendant and being sitting there in the back of the attorney who's arguing your case. They do not recognize you. They recognize the two or three attorneys who are there arguing the case. These are the people that they recognize. I'm saying this because some people are kind of offended that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, entered into that courtroom, was in the galleries with the public, and Justice Roberts never recognized him. That's not their protocol. It's never been it. And to be quite honest, he, like any other citizen of the United States, had the right to be there, but he was treated like any other citizen of the United States who was sitting there. For those of you who heard the arguments, let me bring you up to some speed. Alito, Kavanaugh, Roberts kept asking the U.S. solicitor why was his discussions and his presentations in front of the Supreme Court different from his brief. That what he was trying to argue there was not in his brief. That the legal written argument was different from what he was trying to argue there. I can only reach one conclusion as to why. The attorney, the U.S. solicitor, was not arguing his case in front of the 9 justices. He was not arguing his case in front of the citizens of the United States. He was arguing his case for an audience of one, Donald J. Trump. He was trying to argue what Trump has tweeted when he had tweeted, or now X, for the last 20-some years, what he has posted in his social media, and what he has said in some of the response to some of the questions, and when he signed his executive order, the comments that he made to the press. That's what he was arguing yesterday. And that's why the justices kept going back and forth, because historically, Donald Trump was wrong. That's why they went back to cases in 1886. That's why they went back to the fact that the Indians are not citizens under this, because their reservations were considered separate nations. For those of you who do not know, this historically, if you lived on a reservation, you were in a different nation. You were not in a nation of the United States of America. That was the recognition of the treaties. So that's why at the beginning they weren't. What happened later is that the United States Congress passed a law saying that everybody who even is born in a reservation that is in the United States of America is a U.S. citizen. But that was by law. There was some question about, U.S. embassies and things like that. That also has been decided. But the U.S. solicitor yesterday was not arguing his case to convince the 9 justices. He was arguing his case to convince Donald Trump that he was loyal to. And that is where I think I'm going to hang my hat as to why I think this will be lost. I can't hear you.
I'm
You
sorry,
muted
man.
yourself and you
I
kept
muted
talking. I keep going.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I'm just so much in thought here. I got to cut that out. I was watching C-SPAN or listening to C-SPAN during the arguments in front of the Supreme Court, and I was disappointed in hearing Solicitor General John Sauer's arguments. I was expecting a little bit more context into the cases that were brought in front of the Supreme Court regarding this matter. And I don't think I can tell you that judging from the questions from the liberal judges, they're lost. Gorsuch may be the key to a win for the president's argument to end birthright citizenship. However, this is wow. I was expecting a little bit more jurisprudence.
Well, look, there's no jurisprudence. This is something that the president's invented. He's saying, hey, I'm going to create something that the law has never had. If you're not here with papers, you're not a U.S. citizen. I've always heard of the anchor baby. That's a bullshit created by Fox News. There's no such a thing as a fact anchor baby. If you're here illegally, you could be deported. Your kid can stay, but most people take them with them. But
Right.
legally, that doesn't grant you citizenship or grant you any rights in this country. It has never, and that it was never the intent. The intent was very simple. You're born here, you're from here. Simple as that. You
Right.
want to naturalize yourself, you naturalize yourself. Canadians come all the time and go, and they have children here, and that's fine, and they go back. Yes, I've known of people who have flown in specifically to make sure, because I, I never forget the stupidity, and I'm going to say this, the stupidity of somebody in St. Thomas, St. Croix, who got on a plane to have their child here because they weren't sure that if the child was born in St. Thomas, St. Croix, if he had the same rights as a U.S. citizen born in the United States. And the reason that behind them, and this is something that is always interesting, that I didn't hear yesterday. In order to be president of the United States, you have to be born in this country.
Correct.
So a lot of people who live in the colony of Puerto Rico and in the colony of the Virgin Islands tend to think that if they're born there, they cannot become president of the United States, because some people have interpreted that being born there, you're not born in the United States, even though people who are born in Puerto Rico are U.S. citizens.
Right.
This is the problem that, yes, that was not discussed. What Donald Trump wants to do is basically create a mess hole, and that's what I think I heard from the judge, that they're going to have to sit down and find out what the intentions of the parents. If the parents' intentions was that they wanted to move here and domicile in the United States, even though they were illegally here, would that child be a U.S. citizen? Well, no, because they're here illegally. That is not, I would say this. I think Donald Trump lost Roberts from his questioning. He lost Amy from her questioning. He lost Alito a long time ago. Gorsuch, he might be. To be quite honest, the ones that I think might vote for Donald Trump
Kavanaugh.
is Thomas
And Kavanaugh.
and Kavanaugh.
Right.
The other 7, I am not sure. Because the problem here is one thing that they kept saying that most people do not understand. This is a United States constitutional amendment. The president does not have the authority to change it or to interpret it or to decide how it's going to apply. U.S. Congress has that power.
Jimmy,
and the courts,
in the courts, yes.
but
Jim, okay,
on him. Hmm.
Jimmy. So what I heard during the arguments, and then some of the commentary afterwards, is the intent of the framers of the Constitution. And there is oh boy, what was it? I believe it was a judge who stated that I'm not going to mention it because it's very well defined, and I don't want to mess with it. And it was saying that, and you mentioned domicile. What were the intentions of the parents? And certain classes are exempt, like children are excluded, like children of ambassadors or prisoners of war, things like that. But in this discussion of domicile, are the parents here on a tourist visa, have a kid and then go back? Is that domicile? Are they residents? What are the intents of the parents? And again, what was the mindset of the framers back then in regards to a situation that happens in this modern age?
If you want to be honest, let's get this out of the way. Okay,
Hmm.
the 14th Amendment was really meant for African Americans. And what they were trying to do is say, hey, you brought them here as slaves. You did something illegal under world law. And you're right, they were not here voluntarily. They never moved here with the intent, hey, well, let's go there. We want no,
Hmm.
so we could become slaves. No, that was not something. It was not optional. It was forced upon them. But most of the slaves after the Civil War, most of them, 90%, because England and other countries started forbidding after a certain time, were the sons and the grandsons of slaves. Okay,
Okay.
I don't know if you ever saw the movie the Django Enchanted.
Oh yes.
That he shows the brain
Well,
of one of the ones that came there 76 years ago. So what I'm trying to say is that's the evidence that the people at when the 14th Amendment was passed were people who were born in this country as slaves, but they were born in this country. And there was a question, well, are these people citizens? Do they have the same rights? So the 14th Amendment was saying, hey, you're born here, you're a citizen.
hmm.
They simplified it by doing that because they realized, the founding fathers, this is the part that nobody was really mentioning, they did not want to prove that you were domiciled here, prove that this is your intention, prove that anything else. They try to say, you're born here and you're a U.S. citizen. Now, this is the other issue that we don't discuss. Back then, immigration was encouraged because we had a shortage of people here. Back then, people were coming from Italy, they were coming from France, they were coming from England, they were coming from everywhere around the world through Ellis Island. We know this, and they were welcomed with open arms. Not like today, that if they come into our border and say, hey, I want to come in, you say, no, you can't. Uh,
Right.
Back then, you were welcome, you were given papers, and even when you became a U.S. citizen, you could even change your name from Carlos to Charles. No problem. And they still can, by the way. Uh,
Right.
but so they made it simple. Say you're born here. What they're trying to do is now is complicated and say, hey, your parents came here illegally. Well, first of all, let me clarify those people who keep using the word illegal. There is no law that says it's illegal to be in here without a visa. There is no law. There is no crime of it being a crime. Okay. There's no U.S. statute says that you have committed a crime. Do
Okay.
you have the permission to be in here? No. Or like those who come in with a visa to come to Disney and stay here for 60 years. Well, yeah, that might be a little bit. Your 6 months have expired, but you entered legally, so that's a different category. What they were trying to say yesterday, this might create a mess. You came in legally, overextended yourself. You did not come in here legally. You overextended. Said you came in here asking for political asylum. Uh, uh, and basically, after 8 years, the court has not made a decision. Does that mean that because for those 8 years that you've been here with a semi-permit of say you you're going to go to court and we're going to decide if you can stay here and you haven't, and those 8 years you've been paying rent, you've been in the house and all this, and you have children, are those children U.S.? That is a mess. It
Mhm.
is really a mess. And it's more of a mess when you consider that most Americans consider have this thing. You're born in the hospital. The hospital by law is reporting that to vital statistics, giving the information to vital statistics, giving you a birth certificate.
Right.
And that birth certificate makes you a U.S. citizen. Who is going to go and say, well, wait a minute, let's go with the Ramirez because those people might be here illegally? Hey, the Washingtons, we don't check those out because they're here illegally, but the Washingtons might have come in from Jamaica, or they might have come in from Bahamas, or they might have come in by Barbados, Trinidad, Tobago, and all those with no papers, okay, and be here. But we don't think of them. As a matter of fact, there was a guy that was arrested that most people do not know. He was here for 40 years. He never thought that because he came through Canada and came in here, they had to do much. He got a driver's license. He got everything. And for the record, the driver's license he got 40 years ago, he showed his Canadian birth certificate, and I think it was the state of Iowa accepted it. So it's really,
What?
yeah, they said because it was a birth certificate. Uh, Things have changed drastically, and what the Supreme Court I think is going to go two routes. One, Mr. President, you don't have the authority to interpret or to change the procedures that is established under the uh, 14th Amendment. And Mr. President, you do not have the authority to decide who can stay or not in this country. That is an inherent power of the U.S. Congress. Just like what happened recently in the other cases that they say, look, that's the House and the Senate have to pass those laws. You can't. Uh, and and the thing is that bothers me
Okay.
is that we all know why he was sitting there yesterday,
Intimidate.
and that bothers me.
Yes.
But I don't. This is the thing that what I'm hanging my hat on. I think there's some of them that might have given it the benefit of the doubt. They could have voted against him just to show you're not intimidating. So we will see that.
I get it that this is important to the president. However, like you said, the Supreme Court interprets law, Congress makes the laws. And again, this falls back on a Congress that is under Republican control. It doesn't make sense that the Republicans don't take this issue and at least resolve some of the problems that I think are universal as far as like the tourism, birthright citizenship. I read that China has about 500 agencies that set up travel visas to the United States, where Chinese couples could, in the past, avoid the one child rule that dominated Chinese politics and come to the United States to a birthing center, someone's mansion or whatever, in LA, have their kid. Kid has citizenship because they were born here on American soil, and then go right back. I think that's an issue. Where's the allegiance, the intent for the family to reside in America? I think that is a problem, and the United States is the only country I understand that is like this. I remember recently.
No, no. Most countries in America, if you're born in the country, you're a citizen of that country,
Okay,
including Canada, for the record. Uh,
okay,
but You want me to answer that in a very cynical way? Really? Do you think it is in the best interest of the Republican Party to fix the United States of America's immigration problem?
Yes, because they're in control right now, and it's something that
No.
they have
If they
railed.
if they fix the immigration problems,
Mhm.
what is their next campaign going to be about?
Touche. Well played, Jimmy.
As a matter of fact, let's not go that this that I cannot prove this. Let me put some evidence on the table. When they tried to fix it in the Senate in 2024,
Yeah,
Mr.
it
Donald
did.
Trump called them
Mhm.
and said, "Don't do this. We need to be able to run on immigration." They have been running for the last 40 years on immigration.
Yes,
If you
yes.
fix it, then what are you going to run on? The economy? Hell no. Hell no. Donald Trump fixed that, according to what he said last night. So,
Right.
we have this is the problem that we need to understand.
Okay.
Why have the Republicans never fixed it? I think Donald Trump put it the best. Don't fix it. We need to run on a broken immigration system.
Good point.
Even though I come back and say, yeah, but you're in control of the house. Look, the first 2 years of Donald Trump, House, Senate, no, excuse me, the House, he had it.
Right.
They did nothing about it. Uh, Bush had the House and the Senate. They really did nothing about it. Okay,
Okay.
I'll go a step even further. Ronald Reagan and Bush father had 12 years
Yes.
to fix it, and they did nothing. It's because Donald Trump is right. They run on the issue of a broken immigration system, but they don't repair it. Because if they
They
do,
fixed it. Yeah.
then what are they going to run on? The economy? No. What are they going to run on? Because that we have to agree on one thing. That is their number one issue. They don't, by far. Okay.
Mm.
Uh, did people think that Donald Trump was an honest man? No. They realize he's as corrupt as yeah, but they want an immigration fix. Has he fixed it? Well, in their mind, by stopping Hispanics coming through the south border, it's fixed. Chinese are still coming in here. You put it. I did not say it. You said it. Chinese have people coming in here, going and paying the Europeans have people coming in here and having babies. Let's stop pretending that. Uh, for Pete's sake,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you don't even have to go that. There's Russians coming in here and having babies in this country and having them U.S. citizens. That's not stopped. If anything, that has flourished very much. So, if you tell me that you fixed the border, that people are not coming in, I'll accept that. But please accept that the anchor babies and people coming in here to have babies, that is not diminished this much.
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, the people who come from the southern border will come in here and different. And this is the problem. And I'm going to say this because this is what bothers me. They will come in here, they will look for a job, they will
Right.
find a house, they will pay rent, they will pay taxes. Well, yes, when you go into Walmart, you don't say, I'm an illegal here, I don't pay a sales tax.
Right.
Because they do.
They
Uh,
do.
and when they pay their rent includes the taxes for that property. Yeah, so they do pay taxes. As a matter of fact, one of the less known secrets is that you call the IRS, hey, I'm here illegal, give me a number, and they can pay taxes. They don't get refunds, but they can pay taxes. Why did they do that? Because under the first thing that Ronald Reagan did in the 80s, if you could prove that you were paying taxes and that you were a good citizen and all this, there was an amnesty for you. That was the last amnesty in the 80s. And it was done by a Republican, for the record. Uh, yeah, but they don't want to fix the problem because they run on it. But yes, I have a problem that Chinese, Russians, Europeans are coming here, having their babies and going back to their countries. People from the southern border come in here, get a job, pay
Mhm.
rent, pay taxes, establish a family here. They're here 25, 30 years. Basically, most of them are good citizens. that don't create any trouble. Let's call it that. And they dishwash in your restaurants, and they do everything else. As a matter of fact, there's a joke that among those who own restaurants, the number one problem in restaurants today, you know what it is?
What's that, Jimmy?
It's not the cost of food. Have you ever been in a restaurant recently that there's a bunch of tables, but they make you wait to sit you?
I have seen that, Jimmy, and I've seen some other things that go along the lines of what you're about to say.
That is because we have a shorter personnel. Okay,
That's right.
the yeah, the dishwasher puts it in a dishwasher, but somebody has to scrape those things and put them in there.
That's
And I don't
right.
know if you ever saw Anthony Bourdain.
Yes.
He went back to the restaurant where he worked as a cook.
Okay.
80% of that line, where did they come from? Mexico. The head chef was a Mexican kid.
Okay.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is we keep thinking that these jobs are something that, you know, I went to a restaurant recently and I said, wait a minute, you have a shortage of waiters and waiters? No. And the guy said, well, what is it? Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Prep cooks, mostly immigrants. Dishwashers, let's not stop with that one because I don't
Mm-hmm.
see
Right.
immigrants. Half of the chefs there are immigrants.
Right.
So basically, when we say we don't want these people here, we are creating a problem for ourselves. But, you know, we live in a great economy where gasoline is $4.29 a gallon and it's still going up. This is a great
Yeah.
economy. With that, let me say briefly before I forget, I
Yes.
want to congratulate the Orion in a successful trip around the moon, and I hope that everything goes well and smoothly. And I say that because although of those of you who don't remember, some of the trips to the moon did not go smoothly. That's why I'm wishing them good luck.
Yes.
They come back and then they give us a good report. So next year we could hopefully land on the moon and explore it more and more and go where nobody. Well, people went there in the '60s, so I'm not going to say where
Right.
nobody's gone before, but you know what I'm trying to say. Uh, that is one of the things that I want to congratulate. With that, I want to.
Jimmy, I want to add one more thing, a little fun fact. Did you know that the NASA administrator, for the first time in the history of space flight here in the United States, allowed the use of personal iPhones? They're on airport, not yeah, airplane mode though, to allow the use of iPhones on this flight to the other side of the moon, and the astronauts are able to take pictures of what they see on their own phones. The iPhone is obviously compatible for space travel. So I just wanted to add that
Well, it's
fun fact.
compatible to take pictures, but I doubt
Right.
that when he's there. Hey, woman, you don't have an idea what I'm. No, 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 no.
No, no, none of that.
You
Just to
never
take
guess where
pictures.
I am. No, that's not gonna happen.
Just to take pictures.
Just to take pictures, and I hope they can charge a battery. Well, if they have an USB portal, so yeah, they should be able. Uh, but yeah, this is a great day for our country because God knows we haven't had many lately. With that, let me go into the president's message of last night. I'm going to disagree with the title that we used. I don't think that he gave us an update. Everything that he has said last night has been either said by him in press conferences before and comments that he's responded to questions before, or even for his post.
Mhm.
That we obliterated Iran, we knew that. That we're winning the war in Iran, we knew it. So he tried to justify it and or explain why. And Mr. President, you need to learn from Bush. Number two, Bush number two told us that the reason we went into Iraq is because of weapons of mass destruction. And after 4 years, there were none. You're not going to invade Iran because you don't have the stomach to cost us 35 to 50,000 lives. Uh, Iran is larger than Iraq, for those of you who do not know that, and has a bigger army.
Much bigger.
If you go to man combat, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, they had uranium, no doubt, but the people who were inspecting them to prior to the bombardment and prior to you canceling they say they did not have that much, and we know they did not have, did not have, and to this day don't have rockets that could be launched from Iran and arrive in the United States. They did have that could be launched and land in Israel. That is true. We do. And across the border, yes. Uh, but that there was anything capable, no. Have they been bad people? Yes. Have they been exporting terror to the world? Yes. So has Japan. I mean, so has China. So has North Korea. So has Russia. And I could keep on going. Okay. I don't think that you convinced the American people why we're in Iran. You've been telling us, as a matter of fact, go back that you're repeating this, since we started, it should end in 2 or 3 weeks. And it's now into day 33. So those 2 or 3 weeks have passed. And last night you repeated yourself by saying it should end in 2 or 3 weeks. You keep telling us how great our army is. And I agree with you on that issue. We have the greatest army in the world.
Yes.
But what you need to be is also honest with the United States people and tell them what is your plan for victory. Because right now, the stretch is closed. And the cause of closing it is yours, action. The Europeans did not do anything to cause it to be closed. We did it. We could justify why we did it if you want, but it is closed because of us. And if I did something, I'm responsible for fixing it. But you try to say also that other wars lasted a longer time. World War One, we were attacked. World War Two, Pearl Harbor, and we were attacked. And by the way, for those of you who do not know this, World War One, because we were helping England, Germany declared war on us. The same thing in World War Two, Germany declared war on us, so we had to respond to that. Korea, I would agree. Korea never declared war on us. We went to help an ally, and I understand. I would agree with Vietnam. But the one thing that you ended it there, that I found it interesting and kind of offensive, is your war that you never ended. Afghanistan. You entered, it was going. You left, it was going. You did not end it. You did not stop it. And it was going on when you left office. I would agree that the way that Biden ended it was wrong, inappropriate, and there was a lot of mistakes made. I would agree with that. But did not stand here and try to pretend that you, as president of the United States, were not involved in the war for 4 years, and really nothing really happened. It continued going on.
Mm-hmm.
People continued dying, and you would always say, I have a plan, I have a plan. And that's like the health plan that you've had since 2015. Nobody's seen it, and nobody's done your plan of how to get out of Afghanistan. As a matter of fact, you never did get out of Afghanistan. That's why last night you did not mention Afghanistan, for the record. That was also a 20-some year war. Okay? Have said that, we are going to have to say this. The American people do not have a stomach for this war. This war is costing people gas prices, and you kind of lied to us when you said that we're self-reliant. The way the price of petroleum is done is not based on local. It is worldwide. So if in Europe, the barrel is selling for 110 a barrel, in the United States it sells for the same price.
Correct.
And we are paying for your mistake. And the fact that the gasoline in my tank at $4.29 a gallon is produced in the United States, I'm still paying $4.29.
Hmm.
and the price is going up, and everybody knows that's because of your war. So you're going to have to decide what you're going to do. Now, I will tell you, if you put boots on the ground, I'm going to be your biggest enemy. I do not want one American life to perish in a war of choice, in a war where you tell me, not me, you tell me that Iran is obliterated. That's your word, not mine.
Okay.
It's obliterated. It has no navy. It has no air force. It has
Right.
nothing. We could do with it whatever we want. There's been regime change. Yeah, well, the new guys who replace him are more gung ho than the old ones. The old ones, you could talk to them. These guys are now in revenge mode. Why? Well, because let me see, you killed my father. The new
Yeah.
Ayatollah is the son of the old one. You killed my father.
Right.
Yeah, you know. So, and the people who are replacing him are more right wing. They're hardcore and everything. And by the way, surprise, there's been no uprising in Iran. And
Exactly.
I explained this last week, and I'm going to make it as brief as possible. They've before the revolution, the United States controlled the Shah of Iran. Iran. It did everything. It took the petroleum at a very cheap price. It let Amoco and every other take out that gasoline and control it and control the price of it. Control Iran. Basically, control the economy of Iran, and basically try to modernize Iran, except in one area. This is the hypocrisy of the 70s of the United States. They wanted Iran to be a modern country like the United States,
Correct.
with one exception.
In ways they were. Hmm.
With one exception. You know what exception that was?
The Shah of Iran. It was theoretically a
The
monarchy.
dictatorship. It was not
Yeah.
a. It was not a democracy. So when
Hmm.
we say, "Hey, they had everything," no, they did not have democracy. And technically, under the new Revolutionary War order, they do elect a parliament. Now,
Yes,
the
they did.
last word is is the Alataria. I'm not going to try to change that, but unless it's something really big, what they decide he's okay with. Most he was. He's not here. I should keep saying he because he's not here. But at this point, but the other thing, who did we align with? You see, you have to understand how they think. They might work with the United States. There's one country they're not going to work with, and that's Israel.
Israel.
And since we joined Israel in attacking them, we became their common enemy.
Correct.
So say, hey, we're going to take these guys out so the Americans and the Israelis can come in. Not going to happen. And at the same time, there's a lot of people in that country who believe in that system. I disagree with it, but they believe in it. It's like there's a lot of people in Israel right now who don't agree with what Netanyahu is doing. We know that.
That's true.
It's in the streets, and they have complained. So realistically, to say that everybody in Israel is for this war is incorrect, and to say that everybody in Iran is against the Ayatollah and his government is also wrong. So
Very true.
it is what it is.
Jimmy, would you be in support of special forces and support troops on the ground securing the allegedly 1,000 pounds of uranium to prevent Iran from establishing enriched uranium in the immediate future and eliminate that risk off the bat and then leave Iran? Would you support that?
No, let me explain why not. That's bullshit. I'm going to explain why it's bullshit.
Mhm.
We know where they have theirs, and according to our president, he doesn't care about it because it's been buried and there's no way they could get to it. That's Donald Trump's statement, not mine. So why will we need to have troops there for the next 25 years?
No, just to extract that uranium
Oh, we're not
in,
going to.
out.
Okay, that first of all, that would take a long time. You just don't open a hole and just take it out.
That's
That's
true. Several weeks.
no, it would take more than several weeks,
Oh,
and it would take equipment. And if you think that the Iranians are just going to sit there and not shoot at our soldiers, you're daydreaming. It's going to be a war. How many Americans are going to die for that? Is it that urgently necessary? Is it something like that? It's an imminent danger. It would take the Iranians. Look, let me put it this way:
okay.
if we leave and they start excavating, bombard them again.
But Jim, we've been doing that for what, 40 something years,
No,
and
no,
we
no.
could
We have
we could
not been
take that off the
bombarded.
table.
Look, let's be.
Well, Jimmy, no, we have had covert operations where we've killed their scientists, their physicists. We've bombed their
No, 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 no,
installations.
no,
We
no.
have
That's
done
not
that.
true. No, that's not true.
Oh, oh, Jimmy, no.
No, no, no. Let me explain why I
Okay,
say
okay,
not.
okay.
The people who took out the scientists was Israel. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, okay. For the sake of continuing the conversation, okay.
It was Israel. Without weapons, I would agree, but it was Israel. The
Okay,
president of the United States was kind of smart. We don't really want to get involved,
sure,
but if you do it, we won't say anything about it. We won't be opposed. Oh yeah, you want to use our bombs? No problem. Okay.
sure.
And Israel is very proud of that. And if you could go tonight on Frontline, uh,
Wow, yeah,
it's in there that it was Israel, and they admit it.
yeah.
It's not like uh, look, they've been in power since the '80s, and I've been hearing since the '80s
Hmm.
that they have uranium, that they're developing uranium, that they're creating a bomb, that they're very close to the bomb. Obama negotiated with them, and
Right.
for the record, they were being inspected, and the World Inspection Unit inspected them and said that they would what they were doing was safe, and the uranium that they were developing was not meant for what you would call it for bombs, but it was used to create energy. That that is documented. Okay, no problem. Netanyahu since the '80s has been saying that they've had a bomb, they have a bomb, they have a bomb, they have a bomb. Yeah, and since the '80s, Israel has had nuclear weapons. So
Right.
let's not pretend. Okay, has it, Iran's from this initiation has death to you, the United States, and death to Israel? Yes, but basically, this is the problem that I have. Do I want to lose six, seven, 8,000 soldiers to
Hmm.
distract something that once we leave, they can start developing again? That's the whole problem of this equation that always matters about. I took away your ice cream. Can I get more ice cream? Sure, you can get more ice cream. I took it away. And the problem is it that easy? Well, let me clarify to this.
Hmm.
There's five countries that are friends in exchange: China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and Syria. Yeah,
Hmm.
five. Do you have any idea where Iran is getting its uranium from?
What was that question, Jimmy?
Where has Iran got its uranium from?
Oh, Russia. Oh yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. We put those soldiers. We lose, let's say, 3 to 5,000 soldiers to get that. We take it back to the United States and we put in our bombs. Well, okay, good, no problem.
Hmm.
What guarantee do I have that Russia's not going to say, "Hey"? Especially since Russia is not afraid of us. By the way, the the ship with the oil going to Cuba, from Russia, it arrived, right?
Yes, that's correct.
We didn't stop them. We stopped Mexico and we stopped Venezuela from it. But Russia, they're okay. That is why at times I say bullshit, because it bothers me that we're trying to say we need to close down on Cuba. So we tell Mexico, I'll give 75% import tariffs if you sell it, and I forbid you Venezuela. And here comes Russia, and it's okay.
I think we have better relations with Russia than we do with some of these other countries.
Really?
I think so.
Russia?
Believe it or not, yes.
No, we don't have better relations. Donald Trump is afraid of Putin. That's it.
Okay.
But, okay. But the thing is, I agree. Let's say I take your argument. We have better agreement.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
I'll take your argument. So, I thought the embargo against Cuba was to force a change of regime. Or was I wrong?
Oh no. Oh, you're 100% correct.
So,
And
if Russia provides it, how does that help change the regime?
well, it gives Russia more opportunity to sell its oil, for one thing. We did allow sanctions to lapse for oil to leave the Mid East, the Persian Gulf, to go to Russia and China. I think that's saying to the Russians, hey, we need your help in getting the Iranians to the table for negotiations. So, in good faith, among other things, we want to have these conversations. And also, it's to help Russia with the war in Ukraine.
The last part I would accept, to count on Russia to do anything for the U.S. shows a little bit of naiveness.
But I mean, Russia is and China were stern allies with Iran. And when the United States and Israel started bombing Iran, where was Russia and China in all of
No, no,
this?
no, no.
They
That
stood
part,
down.
that part I agree. They're
They
smart
stood down.
enough. They're smart enough that they don't want to start World War III.
Uh huh.
Because if China decided to get involved, not Russia, China decided to get involved, you right. As a matter of fact, you know what China's doing. Now that you say it, I'm going to bring it up.
Sure.
China is sacrificing Iran for one reason.
We may be on the same page on this one. Why is that, Jimmy?
Right now, they know. Look, I said this in the past program, and I'm going to say it again. The United States spends $4 million in an interceptor to intercept rockets that cost Iran 35,000.
Correct.
Okay, and people say, why are they throwing so many rockets? They know they're not going to get through. China gives them to them because they want the United States arsenal of interceptors to be down.
Sure.
So when they decide to invade Taiwan, the United States doesn't have the weaponry to do anything about it.
That's a good
And,
point. I was thinking along those lines with Taiwan.
and the Chinese can say, hey, when you decided to go against Iran, I stayed out of it. I didn't say a word. I didn't get involved. I'm going to do Taiwan. You do the same. And I'll bet you that if they invade Taiwan, Donald Trump does not lift a finger. And all of a sudden he will go, that's not our war. Oh, Iran was our war? Bullshit. The problem is that basically right now, China and Russia are letting the United States waste its weaponry. They're
Hmm.
just allowing it. And they're helping it. And Hegseth and Donald Trump do not realize this. Again, they are giving them these things that they know are not going to make it to Israel. Because the United States just sits there and sends out all these interceptors. And these interceptors, it's not. That's why I needed $200 million, because They need to
Right.
buy more of these things, okay? And some of them got into Israel because they figured it out. Hey, they're looking things coming from Iran, so let's have them come from Lebanon, and we'll level them down. That's look. We're not winning the war. We're not losing it. But right now, nothing's passing through the stretch of Hamas. We know that.
Hmm.
They're still bombarding Tel Aviv. And
Yes.
basically, as much as we have bombarded them, the government's in place. And believe it or not, they have be very defiant.
However, Iran is at the negotiation table by way of our foreign minister friend in Pakistan.
Well, he is trying, and I give him good faith for that. The problem is, uh, having been a mediator, this person wants this person wants that. If they don't start compromising, I could talk to you to 12 o'clock tonight, and I don't see the U.S. or Iran compromising. That is
Hmm.
the problem. But it's going to be an interesting 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to make a bold
Yes.
prediction. On June 1st, I'm still going to be talking about the war in Iran.
Whoa. That's a serious prediction, Jimmy. I expect to be out of this no later than 2 weeks, believe it or not.
And I'm going to make a second prediction. If this war goes into June 1st,
Oh,
my prediction of 20 seats in the House, I'll up it to 30.
wow.
Look, to say that the American people are happy with the war in Iran or supportive of it, not according to the surveys. I have an experience to say, and I'm going to repeat what I heard. I was in a gas station and I was filling up my tank. It was $3.99 back then, cheaper than now.
Yeah.
This guy comes in his back in his truck with with an American First bumper sticker, not a Donald Trump. Okay, I'm going to clarify this. And he blamed. He was yelling it out to another person. He blamed Donald Trump allowing himself to be convinced by the state of Israel to go into this war.
Mm.
That he was listening to the wrong people. And I'm not talking about somebody who I would consider a liberal, because the way he was talking about was America first, and that Donald Trump had promised him before he voted that he would not get involved in any wars, and he's been more wars than he can pay for it. And he ended, he could care less what happens in Cuba. So
Right.
just if he loses, he's already lost, in my opinion, the independence. He's lost it a long
Oh,
time ago.
really? Oh,
He's
okay.
lost it. If that's how every election has been won by Democrats because of the independents. Look,
Hmm.
if the independents were voting Republicans, at least one or two of those seats would have been won,
Hmm.
and none of them have been won. Zero, zero. So yeah, he's lost that. But if the man, look, Jones of Infowars, do you know what he said?
What did our friend say?
He said that Donald Trump is suffering from dementia.
Oh, my goodness. Woo!
Tucker Carlson is furious with him.
Yes,
Megan Kaylee is furious with him. And I can
yes,
keep going down the line. And they don't influence me. They don't influence you. Do they influence some of the MAGA people in America First
of,
movement? They
of
do.
course. Yes.
Were they a supporter of Donald Trump for his election? Yes, they were. They're
Right.
against him right now. How, you know, how bad is it going to be within the movement itself? Look, a lot of American First people do not want foreign wars. You know that. I know that. It's been
That's true.
expressed. They're not about As a matter of fact, they're anti-regime change. That if the people want to be controlled by crazy people, let them. As a matter of fact, we did it ourselves. So why are we complaining about regime change? We elected a crazy person, so they have a crazy person. What can I say? You have a person who wants to be an autocrat. I mean, when have you ever had a president try to intimidate the Supreme Court into a decision? I'm sorry. When have you ever had a president the day before of this call the Supreme Court stupid?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we do have a problem. But before I go with, I would like to go for the fuck ups of the week.
All right, let's go with it, Jimmy.
I'm going to start this week with the Republicans. Republicans, you need to grow a backbone. This war is killing you in more than one way. Yes, gasoline is $4.29 a gallon, and it was $3.99 last week, and next week it might be $4.59 because the price of oil keeps going up because of the Treasury funds. Yes, food is going up because the cost of transporting the food has gone up because of the gasoline and the diesel. Everything else is going up, and it is not, except the salaries. And like it said, those of us who do politics, it's all about the economy. Stupid. The economy, people do not give a shit about what's happening in the stock market. Oh, the 401ks. Only the higher middle class and the rich have 401ks. Most poor people and most middle class people do not depend on 401ks. And currently, even those who do, half of them vote and the other half have not retired yet. Okay. People care about the cost of gasoline, the cost of food, the cost of clothing, and the day-to-day costs. They're all going up. They are not convinced by your president that this war was necessary. Even Tulsi Gabbard was such a chicken that she says that who decides what is an imminent danger is the President of the United States. And she would not even admit that their report said, that their written report 2 months before the invasion said that Iran was not an imminent danger to U.S. soil. They did say in that same report, because I want to be fair, that yes, Iran had plans to try to attack Israel. They did say. So before you make the comments, I'll say myself. Republicans, if you don't grow a backbone soon, and if my prediction is correct that by June of this year we're still in Iran, and that somebody decided to put boots on the ground, and we have lost more than 1,000 U.S. soldiers, you can say bye-bye to the House, and you can say bye-bye to the U.S. Senate. Now let me take the Democrats. Democrats, right now, you don't have a plan. I know that you're counting on your campaign manager, Donald J. Trump, to take you to victory. And I know that some people are saying that the wins that you've had is not that they're voting Democrat, they're voting against the Republicans. I understand that. You need to come up with a 5-point plan. And I'll give it to you. Number one, the economy. Everything is more expensive. Everything is more expensive. And inflation is very close because if gasoline goes up and everything else goes up, that will cause an inflation. So, matter of fact, the last inflation was under Jimmy Carter, where the price of gasoline went up, and not only went up, you had to make lines and pray to God that they had brought gasoline to that gas station and they had enough to sell you. 2, talk to the people that you're going to end the corruption in this government. There's enough government corruption. Yes, you participate in some of it, so that might be hypocrisy, but it is clear to the people today how you can buy your way out of trouble. 3, start talking about the things that are important to people's every day. I'm going to go the reverse. Birthright is not a danger to us. Most of the people who are born here, stay here, are good citizens. That their parents might have come in here in not the best way, yeah. But that does not require spending millions of dollars. 2, the important thing for us is the space uh, uh, thing. The other thing is education. They have closed down the education system department, and education in this country is still not worked and is still not one of the best in the system. 4th, healthcare. Republicans put that in a civil power to you. Right now, these idiots are discussing cutting Medicaid and other health subsidies to pay for the war in Iran. They're going to take out of your health care to pay for a war that we were not attacked and that we initiated. 5, and this is probably the most important one of it. You need to tell the American people what you're going to do to solve their problems. Give you an example. We'll get out of the war of Iran. We will renegotiate with NATO. We will open the Strait of Hormuz. We will try to negotiate with other countries. We will stop doing regime changes. We will try to subsidy your Medicaid, your Medicare. We will try to make your life easier for all of you. And we will reduce the corruption in government. You do that, you have a plan, you can win this election. Otherwise, you're going to win because the Republicans have fucked up. With that, I will see you next week. Today we did not have time to get to your comments, but next week I promise you I will dedicate more time to your comments.
Oh, we will.
Okay, like, dislike, subscribe, and do whatever you want. I promise that next week we will do that. So with that in mind, I will see you all next week. Good luck and God bless. Take care.
Happy Easter, Jimmy.
You too.
Thank you.